Hello everybody, I'm hoping that you can hear me and see me okay. I'll just check that I'm on, so hopefully everything's okay. My name's Elisa Gray, and tonight I'm going to be giving you a talk which is a very controversial subject, and that is a talk on the devil. I would also like to announce that this young lady, Morrigan, has given birth today to little ginger boy, and somewhere he's gone. Oh, he's there, a little ginger and white boy. Oh dear. Oh, he's a big mouth. Right, so we've got cats everywhere because they all come. It's a bit like when Jesus was born and the three wise men and everybody turned up. Well, the cats are a bit like that, so they're all coming to have a look. Okay, so there is a big confusion in the witchcraft world, and always has been, hence the witch trials, that witches were associated with the devil. So we've got to clear up a lot of mess now to get this sorted out. Right, okay. Before the Bible was written, magic, as I've mentioned before in other talks, was something that was very, oh, hang on, just that was very accepted. Magic and medicine walked hand in hand. The magic user was respected very much across the world. And then the Bible came out, the Old Testament, which was written approximately 1200 BC, and the devil was mentioned, often under Beelzebub, you'll read, who demonologists insist is a different entity altogether. But in the Bible, it offers about Beelzebub, the Lord of Flies, things like that. And anybody who practiced magic or could speak to the dead or anything like that was considered to be getting their power from the devil. Jesus Christ himself was accused of witchcraft when he brought somebody back to life because it was considered necromancy, power from the devil. But, and the big but, is there was no overlord. There was no Satan. Okay? There was the Satan, and there were several of the Satans, and it was a job title. So one in particular, called Hasatan, who was one of the Satans, he was the guy who said to God, Job only loves you because you're nice to him. And if you were horrible to him, he would hate you. So let me go and heap trouble and problems and depression and misery on him, and he will turn from you. And God said, no way. No, Job loves me. It doesn't matter what happens to him. You can do what you want. Go knock yourself out. And the Satan went off and did all these horrible things to Job, and Job still loved God. And God said to the Satan, yeah, told you, you were wrong completely. And the Satan said, okay, and backed off. And basically the Satan's jobs was to accuse mankind, of sin, or lack of faith, or not loving God enough. And they would prove one way or the other to God whether this person loved them or was faithful or whatever. So they were part of the heavenly host, the Satans, and they were accepted in heaven. They were part of the deal, okay? Somewhere around 100 BC, the book of Enoch was written. And in the book of Enoch, there began a group of angels called the Grigori, who were special angels because they were sent here to watch people. And the leader was Samjael. And he started lusting after mortal ladies and got in trouble. The book of Enoch part 2, which nobody knows who wrote it, came out. And that angel's name had changed to Satanael. And he was a prince of the Grigori, who was a watcher of humans. And he did things wrong, you know, he went against God, and he argued with God. And the first sin that was committed was free will. Okay? This is the original sin. Not sex, free will. Having a different opinion, having your own thoughts. Angels weren't supposed to think. Basically, God made them like a set of homunculi, really. Creations that would do his bidding without a soul. And they did what he told them. But this particular angel, Samjael, Satanael, some say Samael, depending which text you read, he didn't want to know. And he went against God, basically. And so God threw him out. And we have the beginnings of the Satan story. Now, a few of you out there will be going, hang on, what about the angel Lucifer? There's no such thing. Lucifer means morning star. It's a mistranslation. It was something along the lines of he shone like a morning star or something like that. But because, as we've said before, the Bible is ancient and there's nobody around who can speak ancient Hebrew, scholars fill in the gaps. And Lucifer is not the name of the angel who became Satan. So the New Testament comes out in 50 to 100 AD. And then we've got the fallen angel, we've got the lot, we've got the whole, he wanted to be as good as God, the big war in heaven, Michael threw him out, blah blah blah. We've got other versions, we've got Eastern versions, in other texts, where the devil was actually a jinn who wanted to be an angel, and he went against God because he didn't think man deserved a soul. He thought the angels did. And he wouldn't pray. He wouldn't bow down and worship a man. He said, why should the son of fire kneel to a man of clay? No way. And so God threw him out. There's several different versions of what this argument actually was between this particular angel, whatever name, Samjael, Satanael he had, and God. Okay? And hence the beginning. So he was an angel who had his own thoughts. He didn't agree with God. His first sin was free will. And like just about everything else that the church get their hands on, they demonised an angel. So prior to 6 AD, the devil was depicted in art as an angel. He was beautiful. God made him before all the other angels, and he was the most beautiful creation. And he was the angel, he had knowledge, he had a superior brain, hence his beginnings of free will. And, it was depicted, and this is a picture I'm going to try and show you. This was in a fresco in Ravenna, and there's Jesus in the middle, in purple. Michael sat to his right in red, which again, these colours, red's associated with the devil, blue with angels. It's actually the other way around because of ink prices. How expensive ink was at the time. But Michael's there in red and he's got the sheep. So obviously this is the sheep, the flock. They were all good. And on the other side of Jesus, on the left-hand side, is this particular angel with the goats. Okay, so the goat association, the goat, the devil, the goat of Mendes, etc. But that was no good. I mean, who's going to be frightened of that? Angel, beautiful angel in blue. That's not scary at all. So the demonisation began, and in order to do that, they got clever. Because way before the Bible was written, in countries across the world, everybody was pagan. So here we had the deer women. Lots of women who lived wild in the woodlands, and they wore antlers and they worshipped deer, and they were the magic users. And when patriarchy started up, they changed the female antlered deity into Cernunnos. They basically gave him a man's face. And became, you know, within the Druids, the Druidry, Celtic gods, etc. So then there's Pan. You know, obviously in ancient Greece, Pan, there was no temples to Pan. You just went down to the woods, to the grottos to worship Pan. And to worship Pan, what did you do? You got drunk. You had sex. Mass groups of people in woodlands having sex and getting drunk and listening to music. This was not the idea of what the Christian church wanted to keep, you know, push forward. That, as far as they was concerned, was sin, because it's freedom. Okay? So, in order to demonise this angel, and also to demonise Pan and Cernunnos and everybody else, all the other horned gods, Krampus was originally a horned god, they mixed him up, mix and match. So the artists started to reflect this in the paintings, and this is where you get your horns from. So the devil got his horns from Pan. That's where he got his horns from. You've got an angel, all beautiful. Stick a pair of Pan horns on his head. Pan as well isn't the most attractive of the gods. You know, he's a little bit animalistic, a little bit sort of looking, you know, he's part goat, you know. So that kind of not quite pretty was passed again onto the devil. There were Egyptian gods that were brought in for his physique, and all wrapped up to make this. Well, I've got loads of pictures, but I can't show PowerPoints on here. But obviously, you end up with something like this. You know, the dragon imagery from the Book of Revelations, with the dragon wings and the tail, the horns of Pan, even the trident. You know, I mean, this is straight from Greek mythology, and all mishmashed together. And they did this. They sat around a table, literally. It sounds crazy. But a group of high up religious men at the time sat around a table and decided that this is how they were going to play it, that they were going to create this demon, this ruler of the demons, and what they were going to do to create him from this beautiful angel who didn't agree with God. So there is an alternate view, of course, there always is. And that view is that Satan didn't fall at all. That basically this is all part of God's plan. That him and Satan didn't have an argument. That he carried on doing his job of the Satan, of testing man to make sure he loved God. And therefore he's still working for God. And he punishes sinners in hell. You know, you sin, you do something wrong, you go to hell as far as the Christian church is concerned, and you're punished by demons who are ruled by Satan. So it's like, well, okay, so if that's not true, then why does he punish sinners? If he wants people to sin, to prove God wrong, because we're not worth a soul or whatever, why is he the ruler of hell? That doesn't make any sense. You know, is he still working for God? Interestingly, hell was originally depicted as being next door to heaven. It was not in the earth. It was not down. Heaven and hell were both together, side by side, up in the ether, and God sat in the middle of the two realms. And it was, but it started to become too confusing. You know, and people sort of pointing, heaven, but hell was there. So it's like, no, we better move hell. We'll move it, we'll stick it down, you know, so we've got up and down, and we can really sort of make a big difference out of the two. So, the demonisation of the old gods, also the fae folk. A lot of witch trials, especially from Scotland, mention the king and queen of Alfheim. And this was the king and the queen of the fairies. And several people say, a man would say, you know, I slept with the queen of Alfheim in the woods, the queen of the fairies, or a woman, I slept with the king of the fairies. But because of the propaganda and everything that was going on at the time, it doesn't matter what you said. The person who was writing down your statement was told to write devil. So if you said, I slept with the queen of Alfheim, or a king of Alfheim, or whatever, they'd put down, I slept with the devil in the woods, I signed the devil's book, I did this, I did the devil. So the traditional witches, because obviously traditional witchcraft is left over from Druidry in this country, worshipped a horned god. Now there's debate on whether that was an early form of the Cernunnos god from the Deer Women, or whether this was the king of the fairies, but it was definitely an example of a horned god and not an antlered. I mean, that's the confusion with Cernunnos because he has the antlers. This was supposed to be a goat-horned god, but obviously nobody would know about Pan here at that time. So, yes, they did. They did worship a horned god. Yes, absolutely. And that was termed the devil by the church in the witch trials. So I've got a lovely one here, and this is beautiful. This is because you can't really tell the difference. And this is, on this here is the devil. Oh dear, I've got cats everywhere. So this is the devil here, and this is Pan. And if that's not the same guy, then I don't know what is. So Cernunnos is the guy with the antlers. And obviously that was in Britain. We had him here. The Queen of Alfame was often depicted like this, with horns. And this sparked off a sort of a scholarly thought that the devil could be a woman. Why is he forced at all to be male? If the Queen of Alfame is sort of this person that the witches worshipped, the church linked with the devil, then it's the devil female. There's the Bone Mother as well. And she was a sort of character that figured a lot in traditional witchcraft. And she was linked also with the Queen of Alfame. Then, of course, there's this guy. Now, there is a satanic temple in America that has that guy as their poster boy. They've made a statue of him. It caused a massive amount of shit, basically, in America when they put the statue up. And everybody who I speak to thinks that's the devil. And thinks that is the absolute definitive image of the devil. Well, it isn't. That's Baphomet. And Baphomet is an amalgamation of different parts of energy and elements. He was drawn by Eliphas Levi in the 1800s. And he's more of an alchemical symbol than anything else. So, sort of break him down. For a start, notice the star on his head is not upside down. And the amount of artists who've redrawn Baphomet and turned it upside down. Oh, the upside down pentagram. Oh, it's devil. Oh, no. He's got a candle in the middle of his head, which is illumination, light, knowledge. The horns and the goat sort of imagery is a nod to the old gods that Eliphas Levi was very fond of. He's part man, part female, because he covers all of humanity. He's sitting on a sphere which represents the universe, light and dark with the moons, and he's got the caduceus, obviously the staff of Hermes there. And written on his body is solve and coagula, which are alchemical terms, solve meaning dissolve, and coagula meaning coagulate, come together. And the alchemical theory that you cannot make one thing without destroying another. So in order to create gold, you've got to break down something else. So this is it's a case of mistaken identity, completely. So sort of putting it together and looking, we've got the sort of the demonized angel. Obviously here we've got Gustave Doré's wonderful illustration of the devil post-fall. His wings, his beautiful angel wings, turning into the leathery dragon wings of the Book of Revelations. Obviously the upside down imagery of the goat head is so prevalent in Satanism. And at the bottom there is actually a picture of an artist's interpretation of the King of Alfame. With the sort of the mask, the long weird nose, the little horns. And it's crazy just how similar, all these images are and how they all amalgamated to make something. So technically there's more than one devil. You've got the fallen angel, who was demonised, the horned gods who were demonised, and then the fairies, you know, the fae, the creatures that the witches talked about. So obviously this was the church's con, let's face it. You know, they created this emblemic poster boy of sin, of evil, to frighten people. You know, don't do this and you'll go to hell and you'll meet this guy. Don't do that, you'll do, you know. And also to spread this, you know, to stamp out the horned gods completely, because obviously Pan, you know, that's not Pan anymore, that's become the devil, so get rid of Pan, get rid of Cernunnos, get rid of all of them, and put God, you know, and Christianity above all else. Now, of course, witches were supposed to make a pact with the devil in order to be witches. You can't be a witch unless you've made a pact with the devil, as far as the church is concerned. And of course, the devil would leave his mark upon your body to show that you'd made a pact with him. And this got so bad that people started mutilating themselves. I mean, I don't know about you, but I get the occasional skin tag, you know, little wart. That was the third nipple. Obviously, I'll be feeding my familiar with that, you know, and that would condemn me completely to death as a witch. So obviously, once you'd started to know these things, you'd cut them off. You know, I've got a big brown birthmark on my left shoulder. And according to the church, that's devil's skin. So basically, you know, the devil apparently is going to come back, like the second coming of Christ. There's going to be Satan have come back, and he's going to reclaim his skin from his disciples. And please, mine's on my shoulder, and nowhere more sensitive for when it rips mine off, you know. And people would gouge at their bodies. They would pull off the skin. They would pull off any warts or anything, because these were all deemed to be a pact with the devil, and that was you dead. So did witches worship the devil? Yeah. They worshipped the devil in the sense of a horned god who was a trickster, who made deals, but he was referred to as the man in black, who he'd meet in the forest and he'd make a deal with him. But did they worship the Christian devil? No, they didn't, because the Christian devil wasn't even born when witchcraft began. So, okay, this sort of idea of bargaining and changing things and doing things with the devil, again, these were exploited by the church. So when people talk about black magic, for example, people say, oh, you know, black magic's making a deal with the devil. There isn't a devil to make a deal with. You know, and as for demons are fairies. When this country was taken over, when the Romans came here, they came into a country where the Druids had Wicker Man set up, and they were burning all the paedophiles and criminals and rapists and murderers, because it was a good way to get rid of them and sacrifice to the gods at the same time. And Julius Caesar was offended by this. Oh, you know, he said, you can't do that, no, you know. I mean, this was a guy who was quite liberal in the sense that he would go to a country and he would allow people to worship their own gods, as long as they paid homage to the Roman gods as well. But sacrifice was out the window in Rome at that point. They changed sacrifice because they didn't want to look barbaric. So instead of sacrifice, they'd got other ways of doing it. You know, they would call it something else and do it, but they wouldn't call it sacrifice. And here, we were still doing it. So they considered us to be barbaric. So obviously they came into a country that was doing that, you know, and this sort of, as time went on and the church started to get involved, obviously Roman Catholic came in way before Protestant, and all these things, everything was demonised. So if you had a fairy that you talked about, you know, that became a demon straight away. In every country, Germany, you know, or your horn god, obviously Krampus, the alternative to Santa, was a horned god in his own right, but was demonised into this killer of children, basically. So every fairy, entity, spirit guide was turned into a demon, was called a demon. So there is a theory that demons don't actually exist. And if they do, they're just really pissed off fairies because they've been given a bad rap and made scapegoats. Of course, there's other theories that demons exist and demons are out to steal your soul and possess your body and do all this, that and the other, and you can make deals with them and you'll go mad if you get involved in black magic, etc. And there's another school of thought that black magic doesn't even exist at all because there's nothing to make a deal with. There's a fallen angel who disagreed with God. He's not interested. Why would he be? There's some old gods with horns, who have been forgotten. And then the witches, the sort of the fairy that the witches used to worship, who does occasional deals in the forest. But what's he going to do? Where's the evil? Where is the evil? Also, that word, evil. A lot of the time people associate evil with their own sick perversities or desires. We'll refer to murderers as evil. Oh, he's evil. Somebody's the personification of the devil, they'll go. Oh, that man, he's a devil in disguise. Is he? Or is he a man? Perversity, sickness, evil, these things, these are human, these come from humans. These are human nature. And this is what the church knew that. And so they took all that, right, we don't want people to murder, we don't want people to rape, we don't want people to do this. And that's fine. I'm with them all the way on that. But they also didn't want people to have sex. They also didn't want people to enjoy themselves or do anything and make decisions for themselves. They wanted a fatalistic society, which is what they got. People thinking that they couldn't further their lives because God had put them in the potato field and there they were going to stay. So this entrapment, this cage that Christianity put round people, and they used the sin of man, they formed this demon, the devil, to frighten people. And the church was also his biggest PR. If it wasn't for the church, by this stage of the game, we wouldn't even know who the devil was. It was the church who kept pushing this forward, pushing this forward, pushing this forward. And now the devil's an icon. Heavy rock bands all over the world have got album covers with him on. He's cool. Films have been made about him. TV programmes have been made about him. Making him cool. Luciferians, which is a religion, see the devil as the good guy and that God was the one. God wanted obedience, slavery. And the devil freed us from that. So they worship this energy of the liberator, of the rebel, the freedom fighter. Because without the devil, technically, if we're to believe that the devil was the snake in Eden, mankind wouldn't exist. Because if Eve had never eaten that apple, she'd have never had sex. Ergo, she'd have never ever had children, and we wouldn't have happened. So there's this wonderful contradiction in the Bible. It's beautiful. Absolutely. The Bible, go forth and multiply and all this. But God never wanted that. He had 2 pets in Eden. And he didn't want any more. So if we're to believe that the snake tempted Eve to eat that apple, know everything, and therefore become a fully functioning human being, the devil created mankind. So, of course, I said this to somebody who was very religious a few days ago, and there were 2 steps away from making the sign of the cross at me, so it was quite funny. And calling me ungodly and all sorts. It's like, yeah, totally, that's whatever, I don't care. But let's face it, if God is, this guy who likes people to be burned on fires and cats to be burned on fires in the name of, his rules, and I don't particularly want to be godly anyway. So, that is the tip of the iceberg. I could technically talk about that subject for probably 2 days. There is so many texts, so much information out there, and so many different variations on how this came about, how the creation of the devil from the old gods, from fairies, the fae, took place. It's a massive massive subject. There is some information about it in my book, and there are also thousands and thousands of pieces of writing out there that you can sort of find if you look hard enough. So it's a subject that maybe you want to research further. But yes, I'm now going to go off and play Highway to Hell, and I hope that you've enjoyed that talk, and I hope I can give you a talk again in the future. Any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below, and I will definitely answer you. Thank you very much. Bye bye.